Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the first episode of Sudan In Focus, weekly news magazine, which focuses on Sudan news and events, aiming to give Sudan TV audience a broad and first-hand information about what is going on in Sudan. So let's go.
The Aljazeera.com published an article about Sudan Army aligned foreign ministry sets path to elections amid civil war. Sudan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has unveiled plan for transitional government ahead of elections, seeking to end a two-year civil war that has displaced millions of people and killed tens of thousands. In a Sunday post on X, the ministry, which is aligned to the army, set path to elections amid civil war. It outlines its roadmap for peace, noting the Sudanese military's progress in their fight against the paramilitary rapid support forces. The plan envisaged forming a transitional government, appointing a civilian prime minister, and initiating a national dialogue with political and civil society groups, the ministry said. The process should lead to a free and fair elections, it added. The foreign ministry called on rapid support forces to lay down their arms if they wanted to participate in the political dialogue. This includes the withdrawal of the paramilitary from Khartoum, the state of West Kordofan, and western region of Darfur. After months of setbacks, the Sudanese army recently reclaimed large swaths of territory from the rapid support forces. In the greater Khartoum area, the army said it has been able to regain control in the states of Sinnar, Jazeera, and the strategically important city of Wapa in North Kordofan, thus securing important supply routes. The Financial Times said Sudan Army year's biggest victory of civil war with assault on capital. Khartoum offensive comes as battlefield gain help turn tide of conflict in military's favor. Sudan's army is ending closer to recapturing the country's capital Khartoum in what allies of its leader General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan said would be their most significant victory in 2 years of brutal civil war. The army claimed to have recaptured nearly all of Khartoum north across the Blue Nile River from the city center during intense fighting with the paramilitary rapid support forces of Commander محمد known as Hemeti. A former military officer in touch with units of the ground said Sudanese armed forces were now within 2 kilometers of the presidential palace, with RSF residents concentrated in the partially destroyed city center in the south. The army claims to have captured all but a small part of Kafuri, the once affluent northern part of the city where the RSF has its stronghold. The army's recent battlefield gains around Khartoum build on its capture last month of the city of Wad Madani, a victory that broke what had been a sustained stalemate in the fighting. A source close to the military government in Port Sudan said the first objective should the army concentrate control of the capital and east would be to take the battle to the RSF in Darfur. The RSF had its origins in Janjaweed Arab militia that ravaged Darfur in the early 2000s and drove many black Sudanese from their land. RSF officials did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Hemeti, in a video address at the end of last month, acknowledged the recent setbacks but urged his fighters to hold on to Khartoum. The Vatican News published in French, Guerre au Soudan, une autre volontaire tuée. War in Sudan, another volunteer killed. The ongoing fighting in Sudan recently led to the death of a Sudanese Red Crescent volunteer in Omdurman, a victim that adds to the 32 others who fell last year in different corners of the world where humanitarian crises are raging. The president of the Italian Red Cross, Rosario Palestaro denounced a situation that is now untolerable. Another life cut short in forgotten countries. In Sudan, a country torn apart by nearly 2 years of war, a Red Crescent volunteer died in recent hours following an armed attack on the open-air market of Sabrin in Umdurman. The death of the Sudanese volunteer Iman Abbas is just one of many brutal deaths that duplicate the work of the people helping people exhausted by war, violence, and poverty. In total, 32 volunteers and aid workers died in 2024, 29 of them as a result of armed violence and 3 as a result of accidents. The BBC.com, Sudan fighters accused of storming famine-hit camp. A paramilitary force in Sudan has stormed the country's largest displacement camp, looting and setting fire to the market and several homes, a local refugee group has said. Zamzam camp in North Darfur has been hit by intense artillery shelling since last year. But this is the first time the Rapid Support Forces has been accused of sending in fighters. An eyewitness told the BBC the situation at the camp was extremely catastrophic and there were many casualties. The nearby city of Al Fashir, one of the centers of the civil war that erupted in 2023, is already under the siege by the RSF. However, an RSF spokesman denied its fighters had penetrated it, saying they had seized a nearby military base belonging to an armed group that fights alongside the Sudanese military after it had shelled RSF checkpoints for days. BBC Verify has confirmed social media footage that shows men waving guns triumphantly with flames behind them and saying they are in the camp. The insignia has been removed from their uniforms, but the man filming the video has RSF marking. Zamzam hosts about 500,000 displaced people who were already suffering from famine. Reports said the attack forced thousands of them to flee again. Medical charity Médecins Sans Frontières, which runs a hospital in Zamzam, said it had received 7 dead bodies and 21 injured people at the hospital it runs in Zamzam. The European Union Agency for Asylum said Sudan faces an unprecedented humanitarian crisis amid ongoing forgotten war. In 2024, Sudanese nationals lodged over 10,000 applications for international protection in the European Union. Throughout the year, Sudanese applications followed an upward trend, and with the highest number of monthly applications received in November 2024, 1,100. Almost 95% were first-time applicants. France was the main receiving country for Sudanese nationals, followed at a distance by Greece and Germany. In 2024, the EU countries issued approximately 6,300 decisions at first instance on Sudanese applications, with 74% of the decisions granting refugee status and subsidiary protection, which was up from 66% in 2023. At the end of the year, there were nearly 7,700 cases pending at first instance, which was up by around 1,900 cases compared to December 2023. WFP welcomes contribution from Japan to save lives in war-torn Sudan. The United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, welcomes a contribution of 150 million yen, approximately $1 million, from the government of Japan for its operations in Sudan. This vital funding will enable WFP to purchase locally grown grains such as sorghum or millet, which will be distributed to over 30,000 people as part of the emergency food rations. We are working tirelessly to ramp up food assistance across Sudan, and this contribution will help us to save lives and prevent vulnerable families from going hungry. We are incredibly grateful to the government of Japan for their support to the Sudanese people, said Laurent Bukera, WFP Regional Director for Eastern Africa. Mr. Mizushi Kentaro, chargé d'affaires of the Embassy of Japan in the Republic of Sudan, said, in response to the severe humanitarian crisis in Sudan, Japan remains committed to addressing the urgent needs of those affected by the ongoing conflict, with a particular emphasis on food and nutrition assistance.
Is the bloody war heading toward an end, with both sides of the war sanctioned and key strategic points falling back to the Sudanese armed forces? Observers see therefore coming up as the last major battleground. Is peace in sight? After the Sudanese armed forces recaptured Khartoum, Omdurman and Wad Madani, the most recent advances by the Sudanese armed forces against the paramilitary rapid support forces in Sudan's capital Khartoum and the nearby city of Omdurman indicate a change to the bitter and bloody stalemate that has dominated the past month of the Sudanese war. Last week, General Abdel Fattah Burhan, who heads the Sudanese armed forces, returned to headquarters in Khartoum for the first time in almost 2 years. Earlier in January, the Sudanese armed forces had managed to capture the strategically important city of Wad Madani, which is around 180 kilometers south of Khartoum. When Wad Madani fell to the rapid support forces in December 2023, a shock went through the entire country. The Sudanese lost confidence in the Sudanese armed forces' ability, which is why Wad Madani is seared into the people's memories as a watershed moment. The rapid support forces had burned crops, razed fields, and destroyed farming equipment. They weaponized hunger against the people of Sudan in order to establish control, owing to the loss of vital infrastructure in the central city. The tactical and strategic significance that Wad Madani had a year ago as Sudan's breadbasket is almost gone. So the expert damaged shops and houses in Sudan's Al Jazeera state capital, Wad Madani. Since the rapid support forces loss of Wad Madani, many of its paramilitary fighters have retreated to Sudan's western Darfur region, where the rapid support forces control 4 out of 5 districts. The countdown for an end of the war has begun. The field war has moved to Al-Fashir, the capital of North Darfur. Al-Fashir has been under a siege by the rapid support forces since May 2024. According to the United Nations estimates, the humanitarian situation in Darfur has become particularly dire. Some 1 million people are displaced from North Darfur alone. Around 2 million people are facing extreme food insecurity, while 320,000 are already in famine conditions. Sudanese civilians across the country have been bearing the brunt of the conflict, which broke out in April 2023 when General Abdel Fattah Burhan fell out with his former Deputy General Muhammad Hamdan Dagalo over the integration of the paramilitary rapid support forces into the regular army. Clashes killed tens of thousands of civilians and displaced more than 12 million. Over 30 million Sudanese, over half of them children, are in need of humanitarian aid. According to the United Nations-based global relief organization International Rescue Committee, Sudan's war has triggered the largest humanitarian crisis ever recorded. This week, Volker Turk, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, warned that the senseless war has taken an even more dangerous turn for civilians. The comment came on the heels of an indicate last weekend, when the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces killed at least 54 civilians and injured more than 160 at a market in Omdurman. A few days earlier, at least 70 people had been killed in a Rapid Support Forces attack on a hospital in Al Fashir. As one of now, the Rapid Support Forces has denied any wrongdoing and instead accused the Sudanese army and its allies of striking the hospital. Destroyed buildings at a market in Omdurman after attacks by the Rapid Support Forces, sanctions and war crimes. Meanwhile, after almost 2 years of warring, one of the last acts by the outgoing United States Nations administration under Joe Biden was to impose sanctions on both generals. The Rapid Support Forces under General محمد Dagalo, as also known as Hemeti, was accused of committing genocide as well as grave human rights violations. These sanctions represent the most significant international intervention to date. For the Rapid Support Forces, the sanctions and subsequent genocide determination will surely thwart Hemeti's plan to develop a civilian administration in his strongholds. Plumes of smoke indicate the destruction inflicted on Khartoum oil refinery in a Jaili area.
Jabal al-Barkal area located in the city of Karima on the River Nile in northern Sudan is one of the famous archaeological areas in Sudan and historical sites that witnessed many years of Nubian and Kushite civilization. The god Amun inhabited in Jabal al-Barkal, also called the Pure Mountain, for more than 5,000 years. It contains many palaces, temples, pyramids, and administrative structures. Jabal al-Barkal includes a royal cemetery during the Meroitic period, and the oldest burial date back to the century BC. The pyramid of the Kushite king Taharqa is considered the largest pyramid built in Sudan. Jabal al-Barkal contains many landmarks that indicate the ancient trade movement that linked Central Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, and Egypt. It forms a passage for crossing the Nile to both banks. It's considered part of Naptan civilization. In this context, Jabal al-Barkal became an essential part of the Naptan civilization, and the Sudanese state after Naptan and Jabal al-Barkal were declared UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 2003. The mountain is associated with religious traditions and folklore, as it has been sacred since the era of the New Kingdom, and it contains 13 temples, the largest and most famous of which is the temple dedicated to the god Amun-Ra. Jabal al-Barkal contains 31 temples and is distinguished by being an important religious center in Sudan, and its great importance lies in being a major site in the capital of Kushite state. In 2014, Jabal al-Barkal Festival was launched, and at that time it formed a huge cultural and civilizational presence that indicated or that included many different arts.
Majesty is not just what they are, force that move hearts and inspires determination in the heads of soldiers, used in training on the battlefield and in military ceremonies. They promote discipline, unitedness, and races of fighting spirit. The most famous majesties, we are the Viceroy Army. In the hope we are going to ban the fire. No retreat, no divide. These verses were not written in book, but were joined in the field of honor and were repeated by heroes out the decades. The majesties did not remain within the borders of the army, out extended to the hearts of the people on national occasion, in marches and the moments of pride in a great home called Sudan. An inspiring and moving tone is not just melodies, it is a promise of a covenant message for generation. Among them are the sons of enthusiasm and sons for the Salatin, tribal elders and their naïcs. Finally, majesties and marches and their association with music science are important in raising in the moral of the armies and even the public. Are friends to origin in the colonies and consists of folk singing song of environment and even that accompany the lives of soldiers. Among them are the sons of enthusiasm and the satires for Salatin, tribal elders and their naïcs.
Kassala town in eastern Sudan near Eritrean border. Kassala is built on the island delta of the seasonal Algash River at an elevation of 1,624 feet, 495 meters, and is protected to the east and south by Kassala and Mukram mountains. Kassala has an extensive market, trade, and forest gardens. It's linked by road, railway, and air to Sudan's capital, Khartoum, and to Port Sudan, the country's principal port. Kassala is one of the most important cities in Sudan in eastern country. Kassala is a commercial and cultural center in the region. The city is located about 400 kilometers northeast of Sudanese capital, Khartoum. Among the prominent landmarks in the city of Kassala are the southern and northern waterways, or Al-Sakia, in the gardens of the city, and its dense and lush trees. It's one of the components of economy in the city of Kassala. Kassala is considered one of the important agricultural cities as it contains gardens of mangoes, berries, lemons, fruits, soursop, bananas, and etc. It also has vegetable gardens. Waterways, or Al-Sawaki in Kassala, are important tourist attraction and an economic pillar for the people of Kassala as well as the other cities. The Gash River is one of the important seasonal rivers as it comes from Eritrean border to Kassala, and all of Kassala's gardens and farms in that period draw from it. Poets and writers wrote songs about the Gash River that was sung by the most important artists in Sudan. 3 names were given to the most important mountains range in Kassala, and that names are the Totil Mountains or Altaka or Awaitla appear as a unique carved icon in which the greatness of the Creator, glory be to Him, is revealed. They are considered one of the prominent tourist attractions in Kassala. There are several stories and legends about these mountains. One of it, whoever drinks from Totil water will inevitably return again because of the sweetness, freshness of the water, as there is no source for this water. And the people of the city believe that it's blessed water. On the other side of the mountains, the people call it Awaitla, and it's the same mountains at another source. It's called Jannah Jannah, which is one of the most wonderful cosmic image in the Totil Mountains range. One of the most important archaeological and religious landmarks of the city historically, and it has many stories and novels. One of the famous sheikhs of religion and one of the well-known dignitaries in is Sheikh Sidi Al-Hassan Abdullabiya, and he has great love in the heart of his disciples. From other face, the triple meeting between Al-Gash and Al-Taka mountains and the Kassala garden is like the state's community and its interconnectedness, societal fusion and love. On the other hand, there are gardens and tourist parks, including Al-Bustan Tourist Park and the Downtown Park. Also among the landmark is the Athletes Cafe, which is the largest gathering of the city's sons and notables, where there are stories, welcome, and love over there. Despite the symbolism of coffee or al-jabana among the community of the people of Eastern Sudan and its very different place in the city of Kassala. The city of Kassala is distinguished by its great societal wealth due to its geographical location, its approach to the culture of neighboring countries, and societal diversity within it, as it brings together all Sudanese community in one place. So, come to visit the country of pristine nature and the country of great opportunities. Come to visit unique tourist destination in Sudan.
الفرسان هذيل في الساحة خدوا الساس وشيدوا المتران